Well, Lucy Allen's run on Hollyoaks continues to be pretty bad. I've been documenting this for the past few months in these rankings now about all of Lucy Allen's issues with this show, how she has a lot of bad habits that have damaged past soap operas, and now she has brought that damage to Hollyoaks. This is the lowest Hollyoaks has been in my ranking since I started this 9 months ago. Hollyoaks in 8th place for June 2022. My main gripe for months now has been how we just keep getting more and more new characters that we're just supposed to care about right away. But we don't. Some are growing on me, but most have yet to do so. And the other big thing is that when you're bringing in a bunch of new characters like Lucy Allen is doing in Hollyoaks, a lot of older characters have to leave, and we've seen departures over and over. And with Martine exiting the show, that was the one that really pissed me off, and why I had to drop Hollyoaks. Because Lucy Allen's decision making continues to be poor at best. The Devereaux family was one of the better parts of Hollyoaks over the past few years. I've talked about this before. And it wasn't Lucy Allen's problem. They were written into a corner as a family before Lucy Allen became the head honcho. However, I still think there was room to keep both Martine and Felix on the show. This is a great couple. We saw them grow back together. And then Martine to just leave to be closer to Toby. I didn't like it. And for sure, Lucy Allen is making the wrong choices in which past characters should be leaving the show. The wrong people are leaving. There's the cast is still big, even with the wrong people leaving, and we have all these new characters that aren't working. So these combinations of things is why I have to continue to put Hollyoaks lower and lower in my rankings, because it's just not enjoyable. There's just not enough focus, as I've talked about in the past as well. With all of these characters, with a bloated cast, how can you have enough focus? How can you get people to care about these new characters when there's just so many of them? A whole lot of it doesn't make sense. One of the positives, I guess, was Luke finally passing away. This is the storyline that started before Lucy Allen took over as well. This has been like over a year in the making of Luke's deteriorating into eventually dying. So they did a really good job with this storyline that's been going on for over a year. You know, to see such an old character pass away this way is a big deal for a soap opera. And they did a pretty good job with that. Outside of that, I don't know if I care or like any other stories. I don't care about them, and I don't like them. One thing that is kind of growing on me is the Nadira, Perry, Juliet love triangle thing. Shaq also involved with Nadira, not knowing that she might be a lesbian. The lesbian triangle is kind of growing on me. I still think they put Nadira out here too soon, trying to make a scare about this new character too soon, and it kind of hurts the overall story. But I still, compared to the rest of these stories, this is the only other one that is kind of at least growing on me, I will say. I've also talked about how, like in May, I like Serena and Imran as a couple, but we didn't see a whole lot of them in June, so I can't really comment a lot on them. We have the coupling of Saul and Grace as well, a couple that I don't care about at this point. You know, they have their issues, and Grace dumped him, but then he won her back, and whatever. Now, I'm recording this before the last 4 episodes of June aired. So the last thing I saw was the Warren Sienna story getting a lot of coverage. I am glad that it finally came out that Warren killed Brody. He was trying to blame it on Damon, but Sienna learned the truth. Before this, however, Warren learned the truth about Sienna dealing with the Undertaker, aka Norma, who's this really hardcore gangster woman. I don't know. So Warren was trying to get Sienna to not be involved with her, but now that Sienna has learned the truth that it is Warren that killed Brody, she wants Warren dead. She don't think she could do it herself, so she goes to Norma in hopes that Norma will kill Warren. Like I said, I don't know what will happen with this story the last few episodes of June, because I'm recording this before they air. But this storyline, again, it's a lot of the show's villains kind of going at each other, which I don't hate, but it's hard for me to care about Norma right now because she's such a one-dimensional bad character. James also exited the show, which pisses me off, but I think it's a temporary thing. But still, was annoying. I hope James is back. I read that it's just temporary. It better be. Because if James also is one of the characters that exited the show, then yeah, Lucy Allen gotta go sooner rather than later because she just is making all the wrong decisions. We got a lot of the new Vicky character. They wrote DeMarcus so terrible in this story. He gets knocked out in his fight with Charlie, and then he gets jumped by Joseph's mates because Joseph is Vicky's ex or boyfriend and whatever. We're supposed to care about Vicky right off the bat here too. I think I can eventually, but once again, these are just all these new characters all at the same time, and it takes time to care about new characters, man. This is like Soap Opera 101. You can't have this many new characters at the same time because people aren't going to care about them right away. But yeah, I felt like they wrote DeMarcus really bad in this storyline. And they continue to write Olivia as another one-note villain who's just, I've talked about this in the past too. Olivia is one of the most annoying characters on the show by far. She's a one-note villain who's just a bitch, basically. And I'm not into it. So many stories to talk about with Hollyoaks, and most of them aren't good, which is like the big issue for me. We had John Paul's alcohol problems continue to get worse, putting his health in danger, putting him being able to see his son in danger. And then we had the Wendy saga, who was working for Silas, and Sally overhears a phone call between Wendy and Silas and has a heart attack. And so it becomes this, both Wendy and Mercedes continuing to fight for Bobby. And then Wendy's in an accident and dies, basically. But of course, Mercedes is still going to have problems with Bobby. The character of Bobby's just an annoying child. Not feeling that story either. So yeah, more of the same from Hollyoaks like last month, like the last several months. It's a struggle to care about all the new characters who they've pushed to the forefront. They've gotten rid of a lot of good characters from the past. They're making the wrong decisions on who should be exiting the show. And just, there's a lot of storylines, but most of them aren't intriguing enough for me. So, Hollyoaks is the lowest it's been in my rankings since I started doing this. Arguably, one of the worst points Hollyoaks has been in a long while. Although there was a lot of the Breda McQueen storyline when she was this old woman killing a bunch of people that I didn't like either. So, I mean, Hollyoaks has had these bad moments, these bad periods over the past several years. That was not a good storyline. The old woman serial killer being able to overpower some of the men on the show. Stupid shit. But regardless, this is also a very low point for Hollyoaks.